what to do in a circumstance like this. A group of Ohio students in hot water after playing an outrageous prank on their teachers. The 14-year-old students spiked their teacher's food with bodily fluids and then served it to them. So they were judging, these teachers were judging a cooking competition, ended up unknowingly eating the crepes with semen and urine in them. The teens are now being charged with assault and complicity to assault.
There are multiple health issues, right? So semen, great source of STDs, and that's a real health risk. But the flip side of this is these are minors, and because this crime was perpetrated against teachers, what ends up happening is in Delaware, where this occurred, it gets bumped up from a misdemeanor to a felony, a 5th-degree felony. Well, so I hear you all applauding, but see, I read this as a mom. I have a 4th grade son, and I hope he would never do something like this.
And 4th grade is different than 14. Just throwing that out there.
I agree with you, but it's not that different. I mean, that little boy, he's incredibly smart. He has no frontal lobe control at this point. And so my concern about this is that these are 8th grade boys. You're gonna try them with a felony offense. Even that conspiracy to commit this crime is considered a felony as well. So all 4 boys being charged with a felony at age 14. This is horrific. As a doctor and as a human being, I think it's awful. But I worry that maybe this is throwing the hammer down a little too hard on young men who don't have judgment as yet and may potentially ruin their lives.
And to me, whether you're 14 or 40, you know not to ejaculate into someone's meal. And so I don't know. Your thoughts?
Is there a defense?
Look, I mean, these are 14-year-old boys, and there is a huge distinction between 14 and 24. And so these boys are going to be tried in juvenile court. They're not going to be tried in adult court, and it will be different for them. The goal in juvenile court is rehabilitation as opposed to incarceration or punishment. So they will receive a different sentence. That being said, I mean, it is gross. Nobody wants to eat food that's been tainted. I mean, and certainly there needs to be laws in place to protect against those sorts of acts. And when it is against a school or a teacher or anything like that, that's what bumps it up to that felony offense.
Well, and do you think they deserve to be found guilty of a felony? Which will be on their record and follow them unless...
Well, no,
it won't. Since these are juveniles, their juvenile record will most likely be sealed by the time they reach 18 or after about 5 years. So it's not going to stay with them forever. If they do commit other offenses, other acts that they're found guilty, potentially this could stay on their record, though.
Well, what I found fascinating is the YouTube flu defense. So their lawyers are saying these kids have YouTube flu. In their effort to gain notoriety on social media, that's what drove them to do this. And, you know, this ultimately was found out about because a student allegedly shared a video. I'm curious if that is a legal defense that you're going to see more attorneys use. YouTube flu as a defense? Does that fly? Because that is the defense that reportedly is being used.
It's like that you were mentally incapacitated.
By your desire to gain notoriety.
Yes.
So I'm curious, is that...
It's not a defense.
Okay.
It's a mitigation, right? It explains it. It doesn't excuse the behavior.
Well, I think you're right. I don't think you can excuse this. And I think it's disgusting that this is done to teachers. Teachers work so hard and they're underpaid, they're underappreciated, and this is kind of the gratitude they get. But I guess my concern is bumping this up to felony level offenses for minors, especially even the ones who were there and were complicit and didn't necessarily take part in this. It's a tough one to swallow. I mean, I'm trying very hard because I feel horrible about this.
It makes you wonder who the ringleader was.
Yeah, and I understand the public health issue, but just as a human being, as a parent, I also don't know, I don't think you can mitigate this with a YouTube flu defense, but I don't know if we're doing the right thing to ruin all of these people's lives from the age of 14 when they may not have fully processed what they were doing.
I don't know. To me, maybe community service, would that be an appropriate punishment here? You're sending the message, no other kids are going to want to do it.
And there has to
They're
be
not going to go to, I don't see them
agree.
spending the rest of their years in jail for this.